Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George, or all George. So unfortunately, global markets fall. Uh, Literally from everywhere. In Asia, especially in Europe, and US markets are about to open, and they look very, very, very red. So today, let me talk about what has happened, what has transpired since last night to now about this Ukraine invasion and what's going on in the world of everything, I guess. So, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, um, follow me on social media, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, you guys are hanging in there. I mean, this is, this is not good. It's not good overall. Let's just put it that way. Last night, of course, I had a stream right when the invasion started. I think we could we cast aside this notion that this was fake news, that the invasion was never going to happen, and this was just the West spreading rumors or whatever. I think we could put all that to bed, right? This happened. It's happening right now, and it's definitely having an effect on world markets right now. So you could see the Dow is negative, close to negative 800. It was at negative 800. I kind of expected it. Last night was like negative 400, 500. I'm like, it's probably going to be a negative 800 at opening, if not worse. NASDAQ is down even more, close to negative 400. If you look at some of these, like Facebook is is going down even more. Tesla is in the pre-market right now getting crushed. The only thing that isn't getting crushed right now is oil, which is nearing $100 per barrel, which we haven't seen since a long time, all the way back to 2014. That was the last time Russia decided to take the Crimea from Ukraine, right? So we haven't seen this for quite some time. And for Bitcoin, there is good news, I think, for Bitcoin. Because yesterday we dropped really, really low, about 34.3. And since then, it's been building that base, right? So that seems like the local bottom. It tested it twice. And since then, Bitcoin actually has been coming up a little bit. And we're at 35.4 right now, right? Obviously, we're still almost 2,000 down from this point yesterday. However, that is encouraging that Bitcoin has found that local bottom, it looks like, and it's now building from there. But overall, I mean, you can't ignore the fact that what's going on with Ukraine, Russia, now NATO, US, everyone is talking about what's going on and deciding what to do next, what kind of sanctions, and how that's going to affect the world economy, especially when it comes to oil, because everyone is talking about oil and how that's going to skyrocket in the future too. All right, so that's kind of like what's going on right now before market open. The bell rings, in terms of 5 minutes. Do you think Cardano will recover back long term? Yes, I do. Other thing that's going on that's really irrelevant today, like jobless claims came out. It was slightly less than expected. GDP revised up 7%. So, that this came out. Of course, this relates to what the Fed is going to do next month. But right now, the main concern is what is the US and NATO going to do about this conflict in Ukraine, right? And whether or not it's going to be over sooner than expected. Is it going to be over soon? Is it going to be an all-out war? Is it going to drag on, right? What is it going to do with oil and gasoline prices and everything else? Yeah, I think the Fed has a lot more to worry about now, right? Especially with potentially rising oil prices and rising gasoline prices. That's going to contribute to the inflation numbers, and this is going to make them even more hawkish. A lot of stuff that they have to look at next month. All right, so the latest with the Ukraine invasion, or Russia invading Ukraine. So, it was supposed to be just the eastern. Putin, when he first declared on national TV, he said a special military operation in eastern Ukraine. Well, as you can see now, there has been explosions heard in pretty much every single city. It's not just eastern Ukraine. Going to the capital, Kiev, and all these other cities, you're hearing explosions, and you're seeing military forces move in, right? So that's what's happening right now. There's an attack on all fronts, which is not good. Although the numbers of the exact numbers have not come out, so we don't know what the total devastation is so far. But it is definitely happening. It's definitely happening. So unfortunately, the world is watching on and deciding what to do, because the U.S. and NATO does not want to jump in, because then that would lead to World War III, basically. So we're not there. We're not there. And Biden already said very early on that we will not be sending troops to Ukraine to help, but there will be humanitarian aid and other lethal aid, he said, basically meaning weapons. And same thing, the UK has said the same thing. Boris Johnson, in fact, just had his stream, like a update to the nation. And basically, he's going to be speaking to G7 leaders and calling an urgent meeting of NATO leaders. And Biden has done that already, right? So, I mean, there's been daily updates leading up to this, right? So I know that there's a lot of people that said that, this is all fake, this is all propaganda, this is just a thing that the U.S. is making up, right? But if you look back, Biden has been giving every single update, like every single day, and not only him, the White House and all these other countries were giving updates, right? So if you look upon it now, it's like they were very, very forthcoming with the info and intel, and the intel is right? So it's just one of those situations. Unfortunately, when this was all being talked about before, it's like so many people didn't believe in it, but now that's here, I mean, it's not good. It's not good. Have you sold any BTC since the Ukrainian news? I have not sold any BTC since the Ukrainian news. My strategy is still the same. I've been telling you guys this. With crypto, there will be volatility. Unfortunately, there are some events like this that could lead to a black swan event, just like March of 2020, right? But usually short-lived, just like in March of 2020. There was a V-shaped recovery very quickly, right? And whenever you have events like this, frankly, I know it sucks to live through it, but frankly, it's a golden opportunity. It's a really good opportunity to buy things down low, so when things recover, that's how you profit, right? Just like that March of 2020 Black Swan event I talked about, Bitcoin dropped from basically 10,000 down to 3,800. And at that time, Ethereum, I don't know where it started, but Ethereum dropped to like $80 in 2020. Think about it, okay? So right now, first of all, to put things in perspective, we are way off from that event. We're way off from March of 2020. But people that picked up during those times are up, you could calculate, right? So when there are Black Swan events, not saying that this is one of those times, because it does seem like, we're not falling off a cliff right now, okay? Not like 2020. But if it does present itself, that's why you got to have cash on the side. This is why I've been saying have cash, and even maybe increase that cash portion on the side 20, 25, 30, 35, 40%. Have that cash on the side so you can take advantage of the dips or continue to DCA, right? It's important because these events, these times are when people make their fortunes. People, all the greatest investors, all the ones that's been in it for decades, right? They all say, we've made our fortunes, right? During fearful times, during corrections, during recessions, during Black Swan events. They've made their fortunes by buying low, not high. So that's why I continue to hold and I continue to stress that, DCAing through this is definitely the right strategy, in my opinion. Now, there's other things going on. If you look at, some of the NATO nations, like the French president, is calling for military operations to end immediately. I think we're beyond words now. I mean, calling for this is not going to do anything. EU, they're deciding what to do right now, but it seems like there's not a whole lot of unity right now. That's what I'm hearing. At least all the pundits on TV is saying that not everyone is in unity right now. So that's the problem. Well, you're seeing a good spike here for Bitcoin, so that's pretty good. Almost back up to 36, almost. But people are deciding, what to do, because if the U.S. and UK and NATO, if they can't really interfere, what can they do, right? No one really wants to see this escalate into World War III. I think everyone can agree. No one wants to go to World War III. So, for the U.S., I talked about humanitarian aid. So there's talks about sending about $1 billion for humanitarian reasons, and also to continue to give weapons and other things. UK have said the same thing. But ultimately, what everyone is talking about, what would hurt Russia the most, the kind of like the nuclear option when it comes to finance or banking, would be this, would to disconnect Russia from SWIFT. That's what people are talking about now. So this would be like the nuclear option in terms of the ultimate sanction that you can place against Russia, which would be to cut off their banks from SWIFT. So SWIFT, if you're not familiar, was started by a coalition of banks, actually started in Europe, and literally every bank on earth utilizes SWIFT. All right, that's how they settled transactions between each other and with all the merchants. Like literally every single merchant that accepts a credit card payment or accepts a bank transfer, right? They're all hooked up to SWIFT. Here's the complication to this, though, is that 99% of the transactions on SWIFT is using the US dollar. Okay? And the US does not want the USD to basically not be the world currency, to be the reserve currency of the world. And one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason why that is still the case, is because of SWIFT. All right? So now, there's hesitations from the US to do this. So whether or not Biden and the administrations go do this, we don't know, because this sets a precedence that if this is done and Russia, utilizes their own or finds something better, and in this article even talks about there are alternative too, like Ripple, right? If we push Russia to start doing that or using something else, it could lead to bigger things down the road, which would not be good for the U.S. So this is the kind of like the last stand, I guess. I don't know if you call it last stand, not last stand, but this is like the ultimate sanction that the U.S. and EU can do, and there's a lot of hesitations over this. So, and there's talks like, hey, if this is done to Russia, it would absolutely cripple them temporarily. Basically, all banks in Russia and all businesses in Russia is cut off. They wouldn't be able to operate. Like literally, they would stop operating. There are alternatives. So looking through this article, Russia has their own SWIFT, and China has been trying to push their the yuan, right? But very unsuccessfully. Like 99% of transactions settled in USD, right? But if this is done, who's to say, well, maybe China and Russia, they start coming up with their own system, right? And then it starts getting businesses and banks off of the USD, which would be bad. But, this is one of the things people have speculated on for a while, whether or not this is why Russia is turning pro-crypto, right? Because they're getting ready for this. They know that this is probably what, war and invasion, what this will well, I guess this is where it's going to lead, and they need to prepare themselves. And it could be a reason why they recently started coming out and saying they're pro Bitcoin and crypto. Maybe. And this would be, for XRP fans, just to throw a bone at XRP Army. XRP Army has been talking about overthrowing Swift for quite some time, right? And if somehow, not that I'm saying that it'll happen, but if somehow it does get adopted as an alternative to Swift, let's say in this case, Russia somehow utilizes Ripple to settle transactions, it would literally bring up to that $589 mark that some people have theorized before. I mean, that's the only way it would actually bring XRP up to that point. So just to throw that out there, but not that I think it's going to happen, but this is what the XRP Army is hoping for. All right, so that's the latest news of everything, right? Latest news with everything. It's not a good situation. It's not good overall. There are some people that think this will be over sooner than expected. Russia just has way too many military forces everywhere, basically attacking all fronts at the same time, and without really military aid, which is I think what Ukraine really needs right now. They're probably go lose pretty quickly, and Ukraine will probably go back to becoming Russia. So the bigger question is, afterwards, what does that mean? Does that mean Russia is just going to stop, or they're going to keep going? What about all the other independent nations now that broke off from Soviet Union? Are they going to be targeting them too? Because if NATO and the U.S. is not going to be joining in, who's to say that they won't start taking each one after another? It's just that, I don't know, most people think that that's not going to happen because the financial, what do you call it? The financial, I guess, devastation that will come to Russia from this will be way worse than I guess it's, I don't know how to say it. The financial devastation or from the sanctions will make it way worse than them trying to take over land, I guess, at this point. That's what people think. I kind of butchered that. I don't know how to say that eloquently, but that's what people think. But people are starting to think, what happens after Ukraine, right? Are they just going to start taking over all these other countries? Who knows? Yeah, there's some people that are saying or thinking, well, if this is the case, what's to prevent China to all of a sudden invade Taiwan, right? Which, I mean, I don't think it's a real possibility, but the U.S. has a lot more skin in the game when it comes to Taiwan. I don't think they're going to let that happen. All of our semiconductors from basically every single car manufacturer, from computers to mobile devices, like literally all of our semiconductor chips are created and in Taiwan. So I don't think that the U.S. will let that happen, but who knows? We'll have to see. Never say never, I guess. Headlock Gaming, my heart goes out to all the family and souls affected. Yeah, it's just, it's just, war's not good on anyone. Let's see. I'm trying to go through the chat here. Oh, I forgot market open. Sorry. I forgot to ring my bell. Yeah, Dow is down 760, Nasdaq's down 270. I mentioned about Bitcoin finding that base around 34.4. It's still holding. Despite market opens is really red, right? We're clawing back to 35s. Obviously, this is very early on, but Bitcoin could build a base from here and continue back upwards. Be very positive indeed. Overall market cap down 10.5% from yesterday. A lot of altcoins sold off. Cardano down 17%. I I don't know what happened with Cardano. Cardano sold off way more than expected. You have Avalanche that's also down huge, 16.8%. Sheeb and Doge sold off very big. And Polygon sold off, Litecoin, Cosmos, Chainlink almost 18%. I mean, yeah, there's major panic right now, major sell-off. But like I said, right, fortunes are built during corrections, during recessions, during black swan events, during dips. Okay, so myself, I continue to hodl. I continue to DCA, right, and I will continue to be in the game and be in the game basically forever. I believe we will come back from this. We will. I know we will. Right? It may just take some time until all this settles, the dust settles. We're going to get a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty, right? But we will get through this. We will get through this. All right, let's see here. One of the things, U.S. should not defend Taiwan. We have no treaty with Taiwan. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the treaty. It has to do with trade. Like I said, semiconductors, basically every single chip is produced in Taiwan. We have a lot of skin in the game with that. But, we don't know. One of the things that I guess is good and bad for Ukraine, not that I think this is good, but something I've been hearing and learning about is in 1994, when Ukraine broke off from the Soviet Union, they controlled a third of the nuclear arsenal from Soviet Union. So they had a ton of nukes, right? But the US and UK convinced Ukraine to denuclearize and get rid of all of them, right? So now they're a country without nukes, which I don't know if it's a good thing if they had it, because no one wants a nuclear war, right? But could have prevented Putin from invading. Maybe. But had they invaded anyways and Ukraine had nukes, would they use it? Hopefully not, right? So I mean, this is just, just hypotheticals. But I did learn about that, and that's why supposedly when Ukraine gave up their nuclear arsenal, the U.S. and U.K. promised that they were going to protect them, and here we are. So I don't know. BTC isn't dumping right now like I thought. Well, that's because it already dumped last night. I mean, when I was streaming, it started going down like around this point when I streamed, and boom, right? So the good and bad about Bitcoin and crypto is it's 24/7. So obviously Bitcoin got hurt first, and now we're seeing stocks, the market, starting to really, really come down. So I mentioned about like Tesla. Tesla actually came back up. They were in 600s pre-market, but you have many others like Facebook down slightly. What else is there? Let's just check. I don't know, like Coinbase. Well, I guess this shows a lot. Like you can see Nvidia down about 2.83%. Shopify down 5.5%. I mean, relatively speaking, it's not as bad as the indexes indicate. But then again, most of these have been sold off for a while now. I mean, gold is up, so Peter Schiff gets a win. Gold is up by 2%. If you go back 5 years, though, they're still down from 5 years ago. However, if you treat gold like a stable coin, right? I think that's the best way to look at it. If you treat gold like a stable coin and not as investment, then I guess it serves its purpose. So that's something I picked up recently after watching Peter Schiff again, is that he does not treat gold as investment. He treats gold as as a store of value, as a stable coin, right? And if you think about it, in crypto, we're so used to stable coins now. Like, okay, if you want to park your money, just put it in a stable coin. But if you want to park your money outside of crypto, like if you have a bunch of stocks and you sold off, you know, and you don't want to park in, let's say, cash, right? Where do you park it? You park it in gold. So I guess if you look at it that way, it makes sense. So gold is up. Congratulations, gold holders. And I know oil is up. Oil is up pretty big, but still not at $100 a barrel. And I don't know the implications of this. I've been hearing, you know, it could go up to like 120, 140, right? In which case, I think gas price is going to be astronomical. You know, maybe $10 a gallon is coming. I don't know. I've never seen it before. I've never seen gas above 5 something, right? But are we going to see $6 gas, $7 gas, $10 gas? Well, maybe that's coming. No, William, no, they won't. No, they won't. If they do, that will be the start of World War III. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. The drop could potentially have been Ukrainians selling their crypto to get fiat out of the country. No, that doesn't make sense. If they want to get their fiat out of the country, they would be buying Bitcoin, not selling Bitcoin. So no, it's the opposite. CNBC is saying the war changes everything as we may not get any rate hikes in 2022. What's your opinion on this? I think I was thinking about that, right? The thing is, inflation is still happening and it's going to get worse. You know, part of the reason why inflation numbers are so high is due to supply chain issues, right? And that definitely contributes to the number. But think about it. If oil goes up and gas prices go up and everything else that's associated with oil, let's say, I don't know, plastics, you know, they go up and all goods start going up because of this. Well, that's going to make inflation look even worse, right? So I don't know if the Fed can just ignore inflation and just let things go. I think they're still going to take action. Maybe they'll be a little bit more dovish, but you think all this that's going on is going to make inflation worse. Unless they're anticipating that consumers are going to spend less, consumers are going to be saving more rather than spending, right? And naturally, that will bring down inflation, bring down the cost of goods because demand will start dropping, unless that's what they're thinking. I don't know. I guess no one knows. All speculation until next month. But Bitcoin is doing good. I mean, it's coming up. You know, the local resistance here is around 35.8. Yeah, 35.8. If we could break through 35.8 and continue back up to get back to 38.5, that would be absolutely fantastic for Bitcoin. Like right now, you know, all the Wall Street traders are probably wondering like where to park their money, right? And I doubt a lot of them really wants to put it in gold. So they're looking at putting in something better, right? So if Bitcoin could come up, right, and build a base and continue to recover, well, that'll be fantastic for Bitcoin, as these traders will probably park a lot more money into Bitcoin and put their money back in. What happened on Plan B? Through Binance. I don't know what you're talking about with Binance. Nothing to do with this. Well, the U.S. market is recovering a little bit, but don't let this fool you. This little recovery may not mean anything. I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised if Dow ends at, you know, negative 1,200 today. negative 1400. I don't remember the last time we had negative 1000. I think that was maybe last year, but I would not be surprised if Dow ends up at negative 1400. And the Dow, I mean, Dow ends up at negative 1400. Nasdaq may ending up at negative 400. I'm just throwing that out there, not to throw FUD even more, but this I think this is only the beginning. So. Russia owns a ton of gold and will likely just sell it to fund their war efforts. Sell it to who, though? Who? They're not going to sell it to the U.S., not going to sell it to Europe. So the only player in town would be China if China wants to buy their gold. But I don't know if that's the case. I've been hearing that, even though China is trying to be buddies with Russia, they're still looking out for themselves. They have not given any discounts on anything to Russia, right? So I don't know if they're really that close. Just like I'm hearing about Germany too. Any small cap favorites right now? I mean, literally, don't Jeremiah. You should worry about big caps and worry about BDC, not small caps. I've been hearing too, like Germany, because of their reliance on natural gas, which all comes from basically Russia, right? They're starting to spin up their coal mines, their coal-powered plants, and they're trying to prepare. And supposedly, it's like they're not all in too in terms of helping NATO nations and placing sanctions. They're kind of looking out for themselves too. So it does seem like a lot of the EU nations are kind of like watching out for themselves right now. I mean, everyone is watching out for themselves. So Boston Irv, love the Tucson. You bought a Tucson. It's a nice little SUV. I'll give you that. Russia and China has a large economic relation with the U.S. Well, here's the thing. All right. China is also dependent on SWIFT, and so is Russia right now. Every single country on Earth is dependent on SWIFT. So this is kind of like the nuclear option to cut them off from SWIFT. So if that happens, Russia will depend heavily on trade and they'll depend heavily on China. But that's a risk. What if China doesn't trade with them, right? Then they're gonna be screwed. Unless they already have a conversation between Xi and Putin and they already have something worked out. But that's the thing. If you all of a sudden trade all transactions basically going inside Russia, I mean that's going to be a total disaster, right? But the U.S. doesn't want to do that because that would escalate the dollar from becoming or being the reserve currency of the world, right? It would kind of accelerate that. We know that every 100 plus years, usually reserve currency changes, right? Because that's just how history is. It gets to a point where reserve currency changes. I don't know the exact reasons why, but it was the British pound before the USD. So this would kind of, and we're past 100 years. So does this mean that we're going to go to a new standard if something like this kind of kicks it off? I don't know. Just speculating, just throwing stuff out there. Thoughts? NATO should bomb Russia? No. No one everyone's tiptoeing this situation because no one wants to start World War III. All right, let's just say it. All right, no one wants to start World War III. This is the reason why U.S. is not deploying troops in Ukraine. The reason why UK is not deploying troops in UK. The reason why NATO nations are not deploying troops is all sanctions because no one wants to start World War III. Right? So, George, a good chance for 33K right now. I mean, we're only 2,000 away, so yes. Can we go back to 33K, which was a point Bitcoin hit back in January, only a month ago, right? Can it re-hit this? Sure it can, right? Especially right now, right? But very promising that we did stop right here around 34.3, and now we're building a base from there. So that's very promising. Jose, George, what are you buying right now? I'm just sticking with what I have. Mostly L1s. I've been talking a lot about, that's why I always hammer on L1s, network protocols, and Bitcoin, right? These are, I don't think you could go wrong with them. And the ones that you just DCA into long haul, right? And the longer you DCA into them, the longer you hold them, the better it is. And there will be a lot of opportunities. Like right now, I believe is one of them. Lazaro, I'm holding 23 coins. Do you think it's a lot? They're all the ones you talk about. No, there's no right or wrong number. It could be 23, it could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 1. There's no right or wrong. As long as you believe in them and they're doing fantastic things, they're still executing and growing and improving their DeFi, right? Then there's nothing wrong with that number. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. I have more thoughts on Bitcoin and crypto. In my next stream, 11:45 a.m. But right now, markets opened red in the U.S. European markets are in total devastation right now. U.S. can still lead there, but I guess everyone is wondering, what's the next move, right? What is the US going to do? What is NATO going to do? What is UK going to do? What is Russia going to do, right? Everyone's still speculating and everyone's kind of waiting. And I don't think anyone's going to know the answer until it's finally upon us. So stay strong, stay focused, and we'll get through this together, guys. All right. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in a couple hours, 3 hours, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.